This is Bitnar Talks, the engineer takes on construction. Episode 32. Hi, I'm Piotr Bitnar. Each day I help my clients plan and design building projects through Bitnar Limited, a consulting chartered structural engineer's practice. My biggest passion and the cornerstone on which I've built my business is finding clever solutions for construction projects. I am a chartered structural engineer and a budding software developer, so you can rest assured that I will strive to talk about the best practices and the use of new technologies in the industry. And if you're embarking on a construction project or are involved in planning, designing and building the world around us, you'll find this podcast useful. Approved Document P, Electrical Safety, Dwellings. Hi guys, and welcome to Bitnar Talks, your favorite podcast on all matters of architecture, engineering and construction. It is Thursday the 24th of October 2024, and I'm here back with you with the 32nd episode and information on Approved Document P, Electrical Safety. It is now official. We reached the time of the year when days are too short to care and the air feels musty. On the other hand, Guinness tastes better and steak dinners feel particularly good, not to mention a cheeky mince pie here and there. It is the time to start planning your projects, starting in spring, especially if you need to go through the regime of planning permission. As ever, let's start with a small recap of the last episode before we move to today's. In the last episode, I talked about the approved document O, overheating. In section 0 of that document, per usual, which covers introduction, we found out that the document covers what? Overheating, right? The prevention of overheating in new residential buildings, including homes, flats, care homes, and school accommodation. It addresses communal spaces and mixed-use areas in coordination with building control, ensuring a balance between safety, ventilation and heat management while considering other building regulations. So it doesn't work on its own. You gotta take in consideration other aspects too. In section 1, we are taken through a simplified method of dealing with that requirement, which offers a checklist which is contained within Appendix B of that document. The checklist that will lead us to reduce overheating in our property, focusing on the location of it and the type of ventilation. It uses strategies like glazing restrictions, shading and window openings to limit solar gain and to manage heat within the building. This method is best for standard buildings but may not suit those with high heat loads coming from the services of that building. Section 2 deals with the dynamic thermal modeling, which follows the CIBSE TM59 methodology and allows for more detailed evaluation, flexible analysis if you like. Particularly for well-insulated or airtight buildings, it may be better to use this method than go to the simplified one. It emphasizes passive measures like shading and natural ventilation as ever, with mechanical systems used only if necessary. Section 3 leads us to additional considerations for buildings where simplified method isn't suitable. Additional factors like noise, air quality, security and window safety must be also considered. This includes secure ventilation options and protections to prevent accidents or security risks. Section 4 tells us about the information that we need to provide to the homeowner, which must be non-technical in the form of non-technical manual explaining the overheating mitigation strategy for the building. This should be part of the home user guide and should offer clear instruction on operation, maintenance, and how to keep cool during hot weather. In this episode, I will move to approved document P, electrical safety in dwellings. So without further ado, let's dive straight into this. In this episode, I'll talk about the statutory guidance contained within the approved document P, electrical safety dwellings. The document covers the requirement of Part P and it is contained within 3 sections. It also references the requirement of notification of works under Regulation 12.6a. The general play of the game is to go get yourself an electrician who will be able to work to the British Standard 7671 requirements for electrical installations, right now in its 18th edition. But listen up to find out a little bit more. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of the approved document. Alright guys, starting with the text of the legislation. Part P, electrical safety. Design and installation. Requirement P1. Reasonable provision shall be made in the design and installation of electrical installations in order to protect persons operating, maintaining or altering the installations from fire or injury. The requirements of this part apply only to electrical installations that are intended to operate at low or extra low voltage and are A. in or attached to a dwelling, B. in the common parts of the building serving one or more dwellings, but excluding power supplies to lifts, C. in a building that receives its electricity from a source located within or shared with a dwelling, or D. in a garden or on land associated with a building where the electricity is from a source located within a shared with a dwelling. Simple. Make sure buildings don't burn and people are not electrocuted and you are fine by the regulations. And the Secretary of State thinks just that. As long as the low voltage and extra low voltage electrical installations are designed and installed so they cannot be easily damaged mechanically or thermally and they are not hazardous in terms of fire and electric shock, the installation is compliant. Extra low voltage is considered not exceeding 50 volts alternating current or 120 volts ripple-free direct current between conductors and earth. Now, low voltage installations is considered up to 1000 volts of alternating current or 1500 volts of direct current between conductors or 600 volts and 900 volts respectively between conductors and earth. Straight up in section 1 that deals with design and installation, we are told that design and installation needs to be in line with the BS 7671 and that sufficient information about the installation needs to be provided to allow people to operate, maintain and alter the installation reasonably safely. What to include is listed in the British Standard but should include installation certificate giving details of the installation and work carried out, permanent labels on earth connections and bonds, and electrical equipment like consumer unit and residual current devices, operating instructions, logbook and detailed plans, but only for the unusually large or complex installations. It should be noted that it's all about safety here, not about functionality. For new dwellings, the position of wall-mounted socket, outlets, switches and consumer units should be easy to reach in line with Part M of building regulations, circa 450 to 1200 mm above floor level, and the consumer unit at 1350 to 1450 mm above floor level. Material change of use will require an assessment of the existing installation and will likely lead to the necessity to bring up to speed with current standards. As long as it is safe, the existing installation can remain in place. even if the color codes do not match current standards. When we alter the existing installation or add to it, as long as the old installation is of sufficient quality and capacity, we may not need to upgrade it, but it needs to be assessed. Assessment will include the rating and condition of existing equipment of consumer unit and electrical distributor to ensure it has the capacity to carry an increased load, that adequate protection measures are in use, and that earthing and equipotential bonding arrangements are satisfactory. Now, Section 2 deals with the application of Part P, and it sets out the type of building and electrical installation within the scope of these requirements, as well as what type of electrical work is notifiable and must be certified as complying with building regulations. So application: think inside and outside of dwelling house, flats, sheds, detached garages and greenhouses, common access areas and shared amenities, but also business premises other than agricultural buildings connected to the same meter as the installation of the dwelling. But Part P do not apply to businesses metered separately to the dwelling. Power to the lift in the blocks of flats are also excluded from the consideration. However, a single dwelling lift will likely use the meter of the dwelling house, so will fall under the consideration. In the gist, if it is connected to the meter of the dwelling, it is considered under Part P. The notifiable work is dealt with in Regulation 12.6a, which says, and I will read its context now. Regulation 12.6a. A person intending to carry out building work in relation to which Part P of Schedule 1 imposes a requirement is required to give a building notice or an application for building control approval with full plans where the work consists of a. the installation of a new circuit, b. the replacement of a consumer unit, or c. any addition or alteration to existing circuits in a special location. Now, point 9 of the Regulation 12 tells us what that special location is, and it says, in this regulation, special location means a. within a room containing a bath or shower, the space surrounding a bathtub or shower head, where the space extends I. vertically from the finished floor level to a height of 2.25 meters, or B. the position of the shower head where it is attached to a wall or ceiling at a point higher than 2.25 meters from the level, and I. horizontally A. where there is a bathtub or shower tray from the edge of the bathtub or shower tray to a distance of 0.6 meters, or B. where there is no bathtub or shower tray from the center point of the shower head where it is attached to the wall or ceiling to a distance of 1.2 meters, or B. a room containing a swimming pool or sauna heater. It is self-explanatory, really, isn't it? And you can view a diagram that shows a standard bathroom with the zones shown in the document. Naturally, the zones where the work will be notifiable will be different when there is no shower tray or a bathtub, and where the shower head is higher than 2.25 meters above the floor level. So keep that in mind. So all other works to the installation is not notifiable. Things like additions and alterations to existing installations outside of special locations, replacements, repairs and maintenance anywhere. Now, just because the work is not notifiable does not mean it does not fall under the Part P. Just mind that when adding things to your circuits, if the circuit cannot operate safely, you cannot connect or extend it. Simple. Even if it's just connected by a plug with a standard fuse, as that's the extension of the circuit. Now, Section 3 deals with certification, inspection and testing. To discharge the duties under requirement P, we can either self-certify if we are a registered competent person, use a third-party certifier, or let the building control body certify the work for us. In any case, the installation needs to be inspected and tested to procedures within BS 7671. Electrical inspection and testing forms should be given to the person ordering work and certificates to the occupier. So in case of self-certifying person or the installer registration body, must within 30 days of the day the work are completed give the copy of building regulations compliance certificate to the occupier and give the certificate or a copy of its information to the building control body. In the case of a third-party certification, the person doing the work has 5 days to inform the third-party certifier who should inspect and test the installation. If the installation is satisfactory, the person ordering the work should receive an electrical installation condition report from the certifier. Then the registered body of the certifier should provide the building regulations compliance certificate to the occupier and give the certificate or a copy of its information to the building control body. When the building control body gives certification, the installer needs to notify the building control body before the works begins. The building control will assess the extent of inspection and testing required and may choose to carry out the work by a specialist contractor to provide an installation condition report instead of dealing with it internally. Naturally, the contracted work will need to follow the British standard and the requirements of reporting. When the building control is satisfied the work meets the code, it will issue the occupier with the completion certificate or a final certificate, if you will. Non-notifiable work should meet the same standards of BS 7671 as the notifiable work, and if it does not, the building authority can take enforcement actions. So keep that in mind and be a good boy or a girl. So this is it, folks, the approved document P, electrical safety. Let's sum it up section by section. Part P of the building regulation focuses on electrical safety, ensuring that electrical installations are designed and installed to prevent fire or injury to users. It applies to low and extra low voltage installations in dwellings and associated structures, including common areas and gardens connected to dwellings. Section 1 deals with design and installation. It tells us that electrical installation must adhere to BS 7671 standards to ensure safety, not functionality. They should be designed to prevent mechanical and thermal damage, and adequate information must be provided for safe operation, maintenance and alterations. Special attention is given to accessibility requirements for new dwellings, and existing installation need assessment during upgrades or alterations. Section 2 deals with application of Part P, and it applies in dwellings including outbuildings and shared areas, but not to separately metered businesses, premises or lifts in flats. Notifiable work such as new circuits, consumer unit replacements and work in special locations like bathrooms requires building control approval, while non-notifiable work must still comply with safety standards. Section 3 tells us about certification and inspection and testing. Installations must be inspected and tested under BS 7671, and certification is required. Competent persons can self-certify, or a third-party building control body can verify the works. Non-notifiable work must meet the same safety standards, and enforcement action can be taken for non-compliance. In the next episode, we will move to approved document Q, security in dwellings. I hope you enjoyed this episode and that the consideration of the approved document P, electrical safety, are a bit clearer for you now. No doubt I will be back to talk more and in depth about BS 7671 in future. If you have any questions, reach out to me on LinkedIn or send me an email. I'm more than happy to help you out. In Bytna, We deal with planning, designing, and managing of your projects, and we are always glad to facilitate a free initial consultation to steer you in the right direction. Visit www.bitna.co.uk and reach out to us. Whether your question is if we can help you with your project or what should I do, we will be able to give you a piece of non-obligatory advice. At Bitna, we help our clients design and execute their dream homes or investments projects. If your building is falling apart though, we can also help investigate the reasons behind it and to provide you with an appropriate strategy, design and specifications for the repair. Thank you again for listening. Please voice up your opinions. I'm waiting for you on LinkedIn and I want to hear from you. See you next week. Bitna designs the world around you. Toodaloo.